routine, repetition is ritual, right? And say, for example, today, I set my alarm for 6 o'clock in the morning. And the reason for that is because I find that the first 2 hours of the day, so from 6 to 7, I get myself ready. By 7, I'm already doing this, or I'm already voice recording or something, or writing. And I stay away from email. And the only thing I'm allowed to do from the internet is read a Medium article, okay? So these routines, so I'll give you a personal example. It was like 6 o'clock when I woke up, and I did have that, am I gonna hit the snooze button? But I have a Post-it that says, don't press snooze, or don't snooze, right? So I have those issues too, where I'm like, but you just grit your teeth and you do it, and then it just happens. And then over time, sometimes you get the urge to sleep in a little bit, but I digress. So I've been saying the word operations and the word applications so often that I realized they come together. So it's ops and apps, right? And then the operations and the apps go together, applications and operations. And so if you get that idea, that'll promote so much awareness into the function of new modern method in your business, because those two go together. And maybe they don't have to be a person, right? And then so you can pass that app supervision onto a person in their supervised cloud stack, whatever they have to look at and do and perform every day. And then you might even adjust the operations, right? So that's how you can lean out, because you see maybe a person doesn't have to, maybe two people don't have to do it. Maybe one person only has to do it once a day for 5 minutes, right? And then that's like your involvement is now, your involvement in the business is not micromanagement, right? You're not micro-supervising, you're not micromanaging, and then the trust is there as well because you can look in the app yourself. So you get to look in these apps and you can see what other people are doing. And then that's the team thing again, right? So it's like teams, operations, and applications. And what's really interesting is that the word suite comes in, but I don't really always agree with choosing one company to be the suite of things, because what you'll find if you started, doing your own research is that there's a lot of applications out there that are very good at just doing one thing. And I'm an adopter, and a lot of my colleagues in a lot of business circles are adopters to these apps that are very good at one thing, and then they interact with other apps and everybody's friends, right? And so I don't like the word suite, but your operations and your applications and your cloud stack will be your suite for your industry. And that's what I think you should start to become passionate about, because, the machine learning and the artificial intelligence is over here. And then you got your pre-AI, which I always talk about is right now, which is just basically automatic steps and integrations and cloud to cloud and API and stuff. And I have a lot of repetition here, but you have all this over here. And just remember that a lot of wireframe business is brand new today. First thing on their mind is less humans. That's the first thing, right? Because they can see how the wireframe requires, not as many people as it used to, because things happen for themselves, or this app does that, and it's whatever it is that they see. And so they don't have that busy terminology where, they just basically have it built so that it grows based on supply and demand, shrinks and grows based on supply and demand, but very, very easily, with people if necessary. And the hardest part in there, and I mean, this is where I'll tangent a bit, is finding good people. Everybody will say that, but I mean, that's another talk. But as you can see, it can grow and expand, and it's very, very quick to adapt to the market. And so that doesn't just require people, right? It does for when it gets to, expands to a position, to a point in which you have to put a person in there because there's so much information passing through that needs a human mind to interact. But you can see that, right? Whereas a lot of traditional businesses, they just hire, right? Because what happens is they just see they feel the stress is palpable and it's around them, and it starts to affect the business, and then hire. But see, if you haven't strategized like a better wireframe that's like indestructible and can scale easily by just continually putting people in, instead of having these people absorb some of the routines for the owner, right? I feel like maybe I'm gonna write that one down in my soon-to-be book, because I think I just hit on something. I love how this works, because if like the team members' duties like become too much, then the owner has to step in, right? And when the owner steps in, there's obviously some animosity, because why do I have to go back to the drawing board in my own business that I built and then see, if that's happening to you as an owner, you're probably better off looking at the wireframe of your apps and your ops, right? Look at how everything's connected and where the weaknesses are there, because if you strengthen that, it won't bleed over. And that's where you can have an executive and a team separation, so you can work on the business and not in the business.